And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Lifelong consequences for a child rapist in Louisiana. Man has agreed to be castrated for the crime. Thomas Allen McCartney has pleaded guilty to the attempted rape of a 7-year-old girl. In addition to being surgically and chemically castrated, McCartney will also serve 40 years behind bars. Joining us to talk about it, defense attorney and former Harris County prosecutor Biologia Kingblood. Glad to have you here on The Factor Uncensored. When you hear about this case, any legal challenges that the state of Louisiana could face as a result of this?
The first thing that comes to mind is the Eighth Amendment rights, and it guarantees us against being subject to cruel and unusual punishment. And certainly when you think about forced castration, that does strike me as cruel and unusual. And so I think they may run afoul of that constitutional protection. And
now, is this case voluntary? Because he agreed to it, or at least that's what we're told.
He agreed to it as part of a plea deal.
Okay,
and
got it.
So there's still, if you think about it, some level of coercion. People who are convicted of crimes, are accused of crimes, are facing desperate situations where they're trying to avoid significant prison time. So when you think about it in that context, is it really something he would agree upon if he wasn't looking at a more prison time? That having been said, this is based upon a new Louisiana law that was established just last year that does give rights to the judges to demand castration and surgical castration at that.
Your thoughts about that, where a judge has that kind of power? Obviously, no one has any sympathy for someone who takes advantage of a child. But when you give blanket power to judges saying you have the authority to cut it off.
Aside from it going against the Constitution, I do think it's inhumane. I do believe that we are in a society that's a modernized society, and even if someone has committed a barbaric act that we all frown upon as a society, we need to rise up and say, while you have committed a barbaric act, we will treat you with human dignity. And so to me, it takes a step back when we introduce these types of laws. Another thing is people are wrongfully convicted. And so if you are putting a permanent castration on someone and then down the line it turns out that they were wrongfully convicted of a crime, that's irreversible. So trying to avoid that risk, I think, is important. And then lastly, I don't think it gets at the issue, right? I think when you say castration, perhaps they're thinking this is going to prevent someone from committing future crimes. But while you can castrate someone's sexual organ, you can't castrate their heart, right? At the end of the day, people commit violent offenses because of their sinful nature, because of something within them, that perversion.
Of course, their mind.
Yes, and that's something you can't certainly castrate. So I don't think it really gets at the heart of the issue when you introduce these types of laws.
Now, we've heard about castration before. Are we talking about what we think we're talking about, or are we talking about chemical castration? What?
Specifically as it pertains to the new Louisiana law, and this is what makes it so unique, they are referring to surgical castration. And the other thing that makes it unique is that the judge is mandating it. Most other states have some form, not most others, some other states, maybe about 5 or 8 states have chemical castration that is something that can be done voluntarily after significant mental health checks. But Louisiana's law kind of takes it a step further, and I think that's why it's going to run up against some challenges in the Supreme Court. And
that's my next question. Do you see it before the Supreme Court?
I think it's certainly a possibility. In this case, the man voluntarily agreed, but certainly stakeholders, people that live in Louisiana, can raise that constitutional claim. My concern is this comes from a conservative Republican legislature in Louisiana, and right now we have a very conservative Supreme Court. So it begs the question, will they actually find that this is unconstitutional? There was a 1942 Supreme Court decision regarding something similar to this, where that Supreme Court said that we have the right to procreate. That's a human right. And so to take away that right for a criminal conviction is not something that should be done under the United States Constitution.
All right. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.